about score variance. So how many of you are like here because your scores fluctuate wildly and you think it's a problem? Few of you. How many of you think that you would like to reduce or eliminate variance from your score? How many of you want to become consistent? All right, that's what I figured. So I hope that at the end of this hour, you will stop worrying about variance. You will stop trying to eliminate variance from your scores, and you will stop trying to become consistent or worrying about being consistent. I want you to give up on all of those things, and I want you to kind of embrace the randomness and just be okay with the fact that your scores are going to fluctuate, because truth is, your scores are always going to fluctuate. I'm going to actually use my whiteboard for once. Consider typical student X. Let's say student X has been studying for a while, doing pretty good, and scoring an average of, let's say, 160. An average of 160 does not mean 160 after 160 after 160 after 160. We all have normal random fluctuations. There's lots of different reasons why our scores are going to randomly fluctuate. For example, sometimes we get a little bit lucky on our guesses. Sometimes we get a little bit unlucky on our guesses. Sometimes we run across logic games that we've seen, almost exactly the same thing before, or we remember something from some previous game that helps us out on particular games, and we kill a section of games. Sometimes we run across games that are weird and different and we get uncomfortable. Sometimes we do really well on the first section and that builds energy throughout the later sections, and we do really well on that test. Sometimes we have a tough first section and then we start to get in our heads a little bit, and that infects our performance on the other sections. I can see a few of you nodding about that one. Yeah, yep. There's many reasons. That was just a few of them, but there are many reasons why everybody's score, I'm a terrible artist, I'm sorry. Everybody's score distribution is always going to look like a bell curve. That's a bell curve behind me. And so what this means is that, yeah, you're going to average 160, and maybe your median is also 160, and maybe your mode is 160. It could be that the arithmetic mean of all your scores is exactly 160, and that's also the most common score, and that's also the middle number. You're centered around 160, sure, fine. But some days you're going to score 155, and some days you're going to score 165, even though your true ability right now is 160 for hypothetical student X. You guys look at these 165s like you look at the best score for you and you latch on to that and you want that to be you. And I want it to be you as well. And it is you in a probabilistic sense. It's part of you, it's part of your range, but it's not the entirety of your range. Your range right now is centered around 160, and sometimes it's 165 and sometimes it's 155. In your prep, your goal is not to try to shrink this bell curve. Your goal in your prep is to try to move that entire curve to the right. If you bust your ass studying for the LSAT, I hope you'll do it with LSAT Demon. I got like a dozen emails in the last couple days with people telling me that I had changed their life. Ben and I have changed their life via LSAT prep. I'm not kidding you. I mean, like, we're inundated with this most recent score release, especially. I mean, I can't count how many emails I got with people who improved by 20 points or 25 points or even more. it's totally possible, okay? But you're not gonna do that by narrowing this range. You're gonna do it by shifting the entire range to the right, so that if you improve, let's say by 10 points on average, well, now you're averaging 170, congratulations. But you're still gonna sometimes score 175, and you're still gonna sometimes score 165. Whether you like it or not, that's the reality. I used to say that this stops happening at the top of the range, but Ben made an interesting point the other day when we were recording the Thinking LSAT podcast. He changed my mindset about this. If you get to the point where you're getting 180 after 180 after 180, what's actually happened is you still have a bell curve of various performance, but your true ability is like 185 now. Sorry for the terrible writing. Your true ability is like 185. And so now your good days would give you a 190, but there is no such thing. Your bad days still give you a 180. You're so damn good at the test that even with variance, you score perfectly. And so, sure, that's consistency, but that's only consistency because the range literally doesn't go any higher. And you still have good days, you still have bad days. You still get a little lucky sometimes, you still get a little unlucky sometimes. You still have sections of games that really suit you. You still have sections of games that are a little bit tougher for you. But your skills have developed such that you just overpower the test. And now you're going to consistently nail it in the high 170s, 180 type of a range. Of course, this isn't most people. It's really rare to get 180s. 170s aren't rare at all, though. This student right here is totally common. That is not a special LSAT student. That's a common LSAT student, at least at LSAT Demon, and that's where we want y'all to go. You are still, though, going to have good days and bad days. Sometimes you run out of time at the end of a section and you guess on a few and you get them all right. Well, that's your 175 day. Sometimes you run out of time at the end of the section, you guess on a few and you don't get a single one of them right. Well, sorry, that's what your 165 day looks like. Some nights we don't sleep well. Maybe that's a 165. Some nights we sleep great. Maybe that's a 175. It's really hard to tell. We're humans. The world has randomness in it. The LSAT itself varies slightly from test to test to test. And so you're always going to have this variance in your scores. Next thing I want to say is that this is good for you, not bad for you. Stop trying to get rid of variance. One, you can't. Two, it'd be bad for you if you did. Consider the student who scores 170 on every single test. That's their score record. Would you rather be that student or this student? In the game that we're playing in law school admissions in the United States in 2022, would you rather be this student or would you rather be this student? Brendan, you want to talk to me?
Sure. I'd rather be the one that has the chance of getting to 175 than just knowing I'm consistently going to get a 170.
Yeah. Law schools only care about your highest score. You're allowed to take it 5 times across multiple cycles, 3 times in one cycle, 5 times across multiple cycles. I heard just today from somebody who exhausted all of her attempts, then got accommodations, and now LSAC is letting her take it a couple more times. So there's always an appeals process, for people who have run out of attempts. Law schools only care about your highest score because they only report your highest score to the American Bar Association. US News only uses the American Bar Association, the highest score, when they report or when they do the law school rankings. So law schools are intensely interested in their median LSAT, and their median LSAT is built off of the highest LSAT score from each member of the incoming class. If you're this guy, you might get 165, 165, 165 on your first 3 attempts, but I'd still rather be this guy because this guy has 175 in his range. And all you need to do is do it once on an official LSAT, and you will forever, in the eyes of the law schools, be a 175. So variance is impossible to eliminate. Variance is your friend. Variance can only help you. It really can't hurt you because you can always just take it again. Now, I'm not saying take it as many times as you can and try to get lucky. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is be honest, look at your timed practice record, look at the last, let's say, last 10 tests that you've taken. And you shouldn't be doing more than like 1 test a week normally. So it'll take you some time to accumulate those tests, and you'll still be studying. So hopefully we'll see an increasing trend in those scores. But you'll notice that you're going to go up and down and up and down and up and down. And hopefully you'll go up more often than you go down, but you're going to have both. But look at the range of scores. Last 5, last 10, look at that range. And then if you're happy with that range, then you should go take the official test. Today's the deadline to sign up for the August LSAT. If you're not sure whether you should sign up, you need to consider your range. Are you happy with the range of your previous scores? Would you go in there and take the test knowing that you're going to score somewhere between these numbers? Can you go in there and take the test with the intention not of scoring your best, but of just, well, I know that I have a range. I'm going to give it my best effort. Hopefully I'm going to score at or above. You know, I think on the day of your official test, you should really be shooting for the shaded area here of the curve, right? You're going to shoot for a good day for you. You're not going to shoot for the best possible day for you. That's a recipe for disaster. You're going to shoot for a good day for you. And if you're comfortable right now with your range, you know, look at your last 5, 10 practice tests. If you look at your range and whatever this middle number is, I mean, it's always going to be plus or minus 5 around that middle number. Even if you're not really seeing it in the data, it's there. There's more variance there than you realize. It's just that you're looking at a very short sample. If like, let's say you score 165 5 times in a row, that doesn't mean you're consistently at a 165. That just means you happen to score exactly in the middle of, or actually, let me make that point separately. If you're happy with your range, if you're happy going in there saying, yep, if I can score at or above my middle number, you know, at or above my median performance, then I'm going to be happy with that. Then you should go ahead and sign up for August. But if you're 15, 20 points away, you know, if you've never scored a number in your range at all that you would be happy with, then you probably don't want to waste $200 to register for the August test. Unless you're made of money, in which case you could do what Abigail suggests in the chat, which is register for the August test to give yourself the option of taking it. You can always withdraw at the last minute and not end up taking the test.
And just to add, I mentioned that only because John is about 5 or 6 points away from his goal score. So
Okay.
He is close enough that he might be scoring where he wants to be come August if you're really far. your
I
goal.
mean, a
You might
point
not
per
want to.
week is not like a ridiculous amount of improvement. I would expect that you make something on the order of a point per week of improvement. Otherwise, it just doesn't feel like you're getting it to me. And so, yeah, if you're 5-6 points away, but your whole range, right? You're going to move your whole range 5 or 6 points. If it's like your best ever score is 5 or 6 points away, then I don't know that that you're farther away probably than you think, because you always do have a range. I'm gonna open it up for questions in just a second, but I want to make a quick remark, because I know somebody's going to go, but Nathan, I scored 165 exactly on my last 5 tests, and I know that I'm consistently a 165. I don't think you are. When people say that they have plateaued, let's say at 165, I don't really believe them. I don't think that even if they have scored 165 5 times in a row, because your first 165 was probably a little bit lucky. Okay, so that first 165 that you scored, you might have been a 160 actual ability, and you happen to score 165. And if you keep taking it and you get more 165s, it's possible that you're right around 165. And so you get right around 165, you get your true ability. And then it's also possible, as you keep studying, your true ability could become 170, and you could score 165 again, but that 165 could be at the bottom of your actual range. And that's actually to be expected. Okay, as you improve, it's just not unusual that you're going to kind of get lucky, feel real good about it, keep studying, keep improving. And then, yeah, it's totally possible that you just score in the middle of your range and get your true ability, and then you keep improving and then get a little bit unlucky and score that same number. And now it looks like there's a plateau, but the truth is you've improved your underlying actual ability by like 10 points in the meantime. All right. I want to hear what you guys have to say about all of this. That's almost all I think I have to say lecture-wise about score variance. Somebody want to talk to me? Somebody want to ask me a question? Make a comment? Use the raise hand feature in the Zoom client. You can queue up. Or I saw Darlena waving her hand around. Hey, what's up, Darlena?
Okay, I'm sorry. Can you hear me now?
Yep, gotcha.
All right, thank you so much. That was good information. I'm just trying to see the process. I don't mean to go away from what you were speaking on, but I know I need some help with getting my score up. And I just came across your website like a couple of weeks ago, maybe, but I already had set for the June test. So I need some help. I need some help.
We have lots of help to offer, Darlena.
Okay.
You have a demon-free account, right?
Yeah, so that's why I didn't. I see that you have premium plus, but I want to like get on here. That's why I jumped in here. I'm like, it's not what I was, I'm nowhere near the 170s and stuff. So I want to get in here and see what path do you recommend I take. So I can get, I do want to sit again, probably September, October, November. I know not August, but give myself a little bit of time. And I just want to see what is your recommendation, because I am willing to be, on top of it, consistent, and do whatever path you recommend, so I can be ready in the next couple of months.
Happy to help. Don't make a decision what test you're going to take in advance. That's I think a really big mistake that people make. They decide which test they're going to take, whether, you know, before they know that they're going to be ready for that test, and before they, in many cases, even know what their true ability is. You're not going to know what your true ability is until you get on the grind for a while and figure it out. We have people, I mean, we blow people's minds all the time. Like, I've got one on the podcast agenda for next week right now that's like, I scored 15 points higher after 3 weeks. Should I expect for that to happen? It's like, well, one, good, you know, like the person is like worried about it. Like, I'm like upset that they have improved so much. It's like, well, that's how that happens sometimes. It also happens that he might have gotten a little bit lucky with that, you know, one data point, real high score. And it's like, okay, so yeah, you're probably improving. You could have also gotten a little bit lucky. That's great. You're making forward progress. But my point is, I don't know whether you're going to be ready to take it in September. I don't know whether you're going to be ready to take it in October or November or whatever. It's your practice test scores that aren't going to lie. So Darlena, the first thing that I would do if you want help, I want you to use the shit out of your free Demon account. So many people sign up for free Demon accounts. They come to maybe one of these classes and then don't actually use the resources that are there. There are crazy resources there for free with your Demon free account. You can do full practice tests. You can do timed sections. You can drill individual questions. You can read written explanations for the questions you've missed. You can watch video explanations. Those are especially helpful for logic games. I think on some of the games, you're probably going to see like 6 or 7 different videos for the same game. That's all available for free. You're also going to continue to get invited to these free events. I hope that you'll come and take advantage of those free classes, but I want you to take full advantage of those resources that we're offering you. We have to pay LSAC a lot of money actually every year in order to be able to present even that limited set of questions for free. But so make the most of it. You can do a lot of studying, at least a couple weeks of pretty serious grinding, I think, with your Demon free account, and never pay us a dime. If you like it, if it's working, if it feels like we're speaking to you in a way that no one has ever spoken to you about this test before, if it feels like, oh, these guys make it seem easy, that's because it is easy. And we have the luckiest job in the world that we get to just explain to you how easy it is. We have 3 different levels of subscription: basic, premium, and live. Basic is a self-study tool. It allows, I mean, you could study for months with just a basic account, and we get emails from people all the time saying, I improved my score by 25 points with a basic account. It's got all those same resources. Oh, one thing that's in the free that's also in basic is the ask button. You can hit the ask button and let a whole team of tutors help you out on a question that you don't fully understand. The basic account is great. It's $95 a month. The premium account is all that stuff plus another 30, 40 tests and lessons. So if you want to do theoretical lessons, if you want to like dive deeper into sufficient assumption questions versus necessary assumption questions or that sort of technical stuff, that's all there in the lessons. And then at the live level, that's $295 a month. Sorry, premium was $195. At the live level, $295 a month. There's multiple Zoom classes 7 days a week. I teach a bunch, Ben teaches a class. We have an awesome team of teachers who teach special classes on logic games. That's kind of Eric's area of expertise. We've got classes on logical reasoning. We've got classes on reading comprehension. We got beginner classes. We got expert classes. We got all kinds of classes going on all the time at LSAT Demon, including my class on Thursday nights, which starts at the top of the hour. I teach a 2-hour class on Thursday nights, and I'll have to leave you for that in about 30 minutes. So you can decide. If you're not sure which level to choose, I might suggest doing 1 month of the live program, because I think we're going to blow your mind in a million different ways. I think we're going to teach you how to be efficient about your self-study with 1 month of the live program. You can always downgrade to basic or premium later if you want to do it as more of a self-study type of a tool. But 1 month of the live program for $295, I think, is a just insane bargain, actually, when you compare it to like a $1,500 Kaplan class or whatever, 1 month of live. You get a lot out of it if you put a lot into it. That answer your questions, Darlena?
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thank you for your questions. Oh, I lost a
Okay.
couple people. I got Brendan and then Mina.
All right. So my question is, I don't know, more, I guess, just asking for advice. So I know you talked about having crazy variance. I very much have the opposite. I have little variance, it's steady, but to me, it seems like I'm learning much more than I think is reflected in my score. And
Yep.
so when I'm getting like constant low 160s, I'm like, I know I'm, my sections, when I take them individually, when I do practice sections, when I drill, I'm getting harder questions correct. I'm getting better percentages on practice sections, but then I'm just not putting it together on the test. I know the answer is just going to be, you just got to keep doing it. But like, is there anything else I could be doing? I mean, I'm trying to do minimum 1 section a day, reviewing that. If I, take that and review it, I go and do another section or I drill. It's just not really coming together very quickly.
Yeah, I would just say keep grinding. I understand that you're working hard. I understand that it's frustrating to not see that reflected in your scores. But if you feel like you're understanding it, if you feel like it's making more sense, that inevitably is going to translate into higher scores. Let me ask you this, Brendan, are you finishing sections?
No, and I make a point not to, but I'm getting further in sections. Like, again, very consistently. Like, I know now I'm getting in logical reasoning, like now I'm almost finishing. I'm getting to 23, 24.
Wait, but your score's not going up.
My score is slowly going up, but
oh, well, if it's slowly going up, then what are we even talking about?
I mean, it goes up like every like 3 weeks. I can get like 1 or 2 more points. And it's just like pulling teeth.
Yeah, well, you're up against some stiff competition, Brendan, and
Yeah.
if you make 1 or 2 points of improvement every few weeks, I mean, yeah, as somebody was saying in the chat earlier, I believe that 1 LSAT point is worth $10,000 in terms of scholarships. And if in 3 weeks you're getting a point or 2, I think that's in 3 weeks, you're getting $10,000 or $20,000 worth of scholarships. And if you look at it that way, 3 weeks on the grind and get 10 or 20 more $1,000 in scholarships, I think you're doing just fine. I also, it could be one of these things where you'll pop any moment to some new higher plateau. I mean, what's going on with the games? Where are you at in the games?
Pretty consistently finishing 3. Like it's weird. I was pushing into the 4th, was finishing the 4th, and now for whatever reason I've regressed a little bit. Now I'm, getting stuck on some games and only finishing 3 and doing a couple questions in the 4th. So just kind of keep grinding on that too.
And how many tests are you taking? How often are you taking tests?
Every week. I take one every Saturday.
1 test every Saturday?
1 test every Saturday.
I think Ben would tell you that you're taking tests too frequently. He said that on the podcast just recently.
Yeah.
If you're taking a test every Saturday, but you're only scoring low 160s, you're missing lots of questions.
Mm-hmm.
And so, are you really thoroughly reviewing? Are you really getting the maximum out of that practice test? Or are you just sort of pulling the lever on the slot machine to see what number comes out, hoping that it's finally the number that you've been looking for, and then just kind of putting that test away and going on to the next one?
I mean,
right?
I am reviewing, but I guess you could always review more. I pretty much take, after I take the test on Saturday, at best I'll review 1 section. And then I typically review Sunday. And then if I haven't finished anything Monday, but typically I finish it on Sunday. And then I'm back to doing, 1 or 2 sections on Monday.
Yeah. I might dial that down to 1 test every other week.
Okay.
And just focus on timed sections instead, especially with games. Like, you're not perfect on games yet. So every other Saturday, instead of doing a full test, do a section of games, review it the shit out of it. And then if you still have time, do another section of games.
Yeah,
You've got to get to perfect on games.
I do games every day now. That for that,
Okay, good.
like that trying to take your advice, and like I do a section of games or at least drill games every day. Like that'll be like if I do LR section and I get through it, I'll do a section of games. But okay, nothing.
Okay.
Fair
Thanks,
enough.
Brendan.
Thank you.
Mina, then Alexandra.
Hey, Nathan, can you hear me?
Yep, gotcha.
Alrighty, so yeah, so my question, so you make it look easy, and I like that, right? The LSAT test, and here's what's going on. Now I'm already with two different programs, right? Should I drop them and start yours, or should I just keep going with what I have? Go
It
through it.
is, no, it's self-serving for me to say this. I am biased financially and emotionally. But yeah, you should drop those other programs. We're better.
Yeah, okay. No, so like I don't have like that much time left. So what do you think? Should I?
No, I don't. Well, I don't buy that.
Okay, gotcha.
Ain't no, I don't have much time left. You can always push the test, and you should push the test. You're not ready. You know you're not ready. You know you're not going to be ready. Push the test. Do not take the test in August if you're not ready. Don't take the test in September if you're not ready. If you're not happy with your timed practice scores, then do not take the official test. So don't be on anybody else's timeline. Don't force yourself into taking whatever test on whatever date. Don't force yourself to apply to law school this fall. You should wait another cycle, apply next fall, for the following fall. Start law school in 2024, but start your law career right. Like you want to start your law career with the very best LSAT you can get.
That's correct. Yep.
Well, it's just magical thinking to try to force yourself into taking the test on any particular date.
I agree. Thank you.
Thank you, Mina. Alexandra, then Cassandra.
Hey, Nathan. So
Hi.
I've been studying for the LSAT since a little bit over a year. And then I took it in last August, and I got a 165. And then I took it in October and I got a 165. And then even though my practice tests, I've had like quite a few in the 170s, but I kind of panic on the test. And
Okay.
then I took the June LSAT and I got a 167. And I'm feeling a little discouraged. So I'm wondering if you think I should try again for August.
Yes. I don't know. Yes, you should try again. When exactly should you try again? I don't know. You should try again when you know you're ready. You should be happy actually about that 167. I mean, you were a 165, then you were still a 165. Now you're a 167. If you go to lsatdemon.com/scholarships and you look at the difference between a 167 and a 165, I think you're going to see tens of thousands of more scholarship dollars at certain schools with a 167 that you wouldn't have gotten with a 165. And, you know, that's real. Like the floor on you is now 167. You're never going to be lower than that.
Okay.
So that's good. You should breathe a little bit easier. Now, you've been practice testing in the 170s. So I think that you can actually achieve that on an official test. I think that you probably need to keep going, keep trying. And if you think that it's test anxiety specifically, then you need to sort out your test anxiety problem. I hope that you'll come 2 weeks from now. I'm teaching a class on specifically test anxiety. So, you know, hopefully you'll come and get some wisdom from that free class.
Yeah.
But, you know, you need to, yeah, you need to let it go a little bit. Like you're sometimes students just get so caught up. They want to control it, right? They want to force themselves to do one more, finally get there this time. That's just not how this shit works. You got to kind of be easy with it. Sorry for a golf analogy, but in golf, one of the things I actually think about is not holding on to the club too tightly. I need to hold on to the club barely, like it almost is going to fly out of my hand. And if I do that, I make better golf swings. I think sometimes on the LSAT, you guys are like gripping the mouse and like you're like aggro about it. That's nobody who's good at the LSAT does it that way. This is a fun, easy game that you get to play. It's just another practice test. You need to try to treat your official tests that way. Have some fun with it. And then, you know, hopefully you'll get because there's no reason why the practice tests are all real LSATs. Unless you're cheating on are you cheating on your practice tests, Alexandra?
No.
No? Okay. I have to ask because sometimes people do. We hear people go like, well, I paused it during the middle of the section, or yeah, I mean, I was kind of stuck on that game, so I stopped the timer. It's like, what? You did what? Why would you do that? You're cheating yourself. That's dumb. But you're not doing that. So if you're not doing that, then there's no reason why on whatever official test you can't get a score that reflects your actual ability. You do need to try again. I mean, hey, our man Matt Dumont took the test 5 times. Matt took it 5 times and ended up with a 171. I mean, it was like a multi-year, I think, or at least a year process of studying. And on his 5th attempt, he got his 171 and ended up getting a full ride. And now he's very happy and successful at University of Maryland. And I mean, that's awesome that he grinded it out and just kept going and finally got the score that he, you know, I knew he was capable of it all along. All right, Cassandra, then Paige.
Hi, so I've actually only recently started studying for the LSAT, just like a few weeks, like 3 weeks, I think.
Okay.
And so I'm conversely, I'm very new to the whole process. And I just wanted to ask a question about the demon in particular in terms of the rating. So I'm seeing not a whole lot of variance in my scores yet, but I am kind of climbing up. But my rating scores are going up. Is that typically more the sign you're looking for in terms of improvement in terms of your accuracy, or like is that indicative that I'm pushing my variance higher, or is that just wishful thinking that I'm getting better?
Well, the best way to improve your score is by improving your accuracy. I mean, you need to slow down and focus on getting them right. You need to not try to finish the sections. You need to instead just take a breath, solve each question before moving on to the next question. If you run out of time, then you're going to guess at the end of the section and you're going to get some variance in your scores because of those guesses. You're going to have very little variance in your scores otherwise. If you're really drinking the Kool-Aid, if you're really going slow and steady and focusing only on accuracy, then one of the sources of variance, which is all those 50-50s where you sometimes get lucky and sometimes don't, those will go away when you decide, hey, I'm just going to solve each one of these questions. But what I would be shooting for is, you know, am I getting 10 out of the first 10 every time? If you can get 10 out of the first 10 every time, I believe in you. Like, you can do this.
I think a lot of what's happening in the practice test is I do that in the first 10 questions, and then I start panicking, like, am I going fast enough? And then I get in my head and I get that kind of test anxiety, and then I start missing questions. So although my accuracy is getting better slowly, I'm still trying to get my head around the test. So
keep practicing.
I need to slow down.
and let go of that. I mean, it's like, hey, you know that if you're calm and steady, you can just get a whole bunch of them right at the beginning of the section. you should keep doing that in the middle of the section, and you should keep doing that at the end of the section. Let your random guesses be truly random. You know, I don't want you half-assing 5 or 6 questions at the end because you're trying to push. It's like, what are you doing? Those questions are harder, by the way. The ones at the beginning of the section are easy, so take your time, get them right. The ones in the middle of the section are harder, so take your time, get them right. The ones at the end of the section are the hardest ones, so take even more time, get them right, or spend 0 time on them by completely randomly guessing when you're completely out of time, right? Or at the 5-minute mark. That's a good place to put in all your random guesses. Keep grinding, Cassandra, you'll get there. Paige, then Matthew.
Thanks.
I just wanted to like give living proof to Mina about like dropping all he's other doing to go with the demon.
Yeah.
I was with test masters that I paid $1,500 for, and I had 2 months left, and I found you guys and I was like, okay, I'll wait until my 2 months is up and then come. And I didn't improve in 2 months, and then I was a test demon for 2 weeks and I improved. So just like for his sake, like just do it. Like I know sometimes we listen to your like advice and stuff and we just say yeah, we don't actually do it, but like just do it. Like trust me.
Thank you, Paige. Yeah, time is your most valuable resource. And if you're grinding away on some program that's not really doing anything for you, then yeah, I would just put that aside and work with us instead. I mean, one thing about some of those other programs too is that they're like so ridiculously overly technical. For my money, Testmaster is like, they're making you memorize letters and numbers of different question types and stuff. It's like, what are you talking about? I just don't see that stuff being useful, at least not the way we do it. And yeah, we're looking to help you guys make a 10-point improvement at the very least. And 15, 20, 25-point improvements are not uncommon these days. I have testimonial after testimonial after testimonial that sound like that. If you guys want a motivating episode of the podcast, I think the very next one, we're going to just like read a whole bunch of these testimonials that have come in over the past couple days. But yeah, we can make a big difference for you, and I don't know, make it fun and easy and not a waste of your time. Thank you, Paige. Matthew, question.
Hey, so my question about everything you talked about with score variance.
Yeah.
How do I know if I'm improving my middle score? How do I know if I'm moving up my range when I'm taking practice tests, or if I'm just like hitting the top of my range? How do I know if it's maybe the reading comp passage was extra easy for me, or I found the logic games extra easy? How do I know if I'm just getting better overall, or if I'm just hitting that top part of my range?
I don't think you do, and you can't. I don't think it's possible to know. I don't think you need to worry about it.
Yeah.
I mean, I think you just need to focus on understanding.
Okay.
This just isn't something that we can control.
So because I was just trying to like what you said about don't sign up for the test until your range is kind of where you want it to be.
Yeah.
So if I shouldn't be too worried about it. If I'm not, I don't know if this is just my best score and I got lucky, I should just sign up, take the test.
If you had to pick a random number out of your last 5 tests, would you want to take the test?
Yeah, I would.
Then take the test.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
I mean, that's all we're doing. It's probabilistic, y'all. It's random. You cannot control this thing. You don't know exactly how it's going to go. You know in a range how it's going to go. And it could be the good side of that. It could be the bad side of that. If it's the bad side of that, oh, well, I took a shot at it. I'm going to take another shot at it. If you get the good side of it, if you get the really good side of it, which I did, I mean, I scored 179 on my first attempt. It was like that I'm sure I got lucky. Slightly, you know, like I knew I was going to score 170 something. I had no idea that I was going to score 179, but I did. And then it's just like, oh, okay, well, I'm done. Mic drop. I'm not taking more. I'm not doing it again. Why would I? And so, yeah, it's like, is it worth taking a shot? If you have 3 bites at the apple this cycle, would you be happy drawing a random number out of your last 5 numbers? If so, then take it. If you're like, nah, I want to get that range a little higher before I start doing my random polls, then that's fine too. Thanks, Matthew. Is it easy?
Yes, it's Eze.
Eze, hi.
Yes, thank you very much, Nathan. I wanted to say how grateful I am for everything you do for the LSAT candidates all over the United States of America and beyond. I am an ardent follower and viewer of your podcasts. And I'm also signed up with LSAT Demon. I was talked into it by a friend, Lexi. And my problem is slightly different and I think maybe peculiar because I never spoke English until I was about 19 or 20.
Sure.
And then I started learning the English language and decided to go to college. And now I want to go to law school. So I started my LSAT journey last year and my diagnostic score was 140. Since then, I've been studying and I've made quite some improvements. However, I'm still not able to score pretty high, say 165. I've scored a 160 before, 158. And sometimes when I do the test on time, I just take a prep test and decide to just do it on time to test how much knowledge of the test that I have. I could score way above 174, sometimes 176. But then when I time myself, it's a totally different scenario. I'm not able to get into a 170. So I'll let you know.
Deepen your understanding of the test. I mean, you're telling me you're getting 174, 175 untimed. That's great. That means that you've got a pretty good, you're able to solve most of it. But there are still things that you don't understand, right? So your problem is understanding. Your problem is, I know that you think your problem is, oh, if I could just speed up, but no, your problem is your understanding is great, but not amazing. And if you continue to improve, like every single mistake that you make, you need to review it thoroughly, and it'll be slow, but I think that you will continue to make progress. There's no magic tricks for how to all of a sudden get the same score timed as you get untimed.
Yeah,
All right, I've got to go here really quickly, and I want to make sure I get to as many of these questions as possible. So thank you, Eze. I'm going to say, Eva, how do you pronounce your first name?
It's Jungwei. You can just call me Eva. It's fine.
I'll be very. Eva.
you said it pretty good.
Yeah.
I'll be very quick and I have to go. I just want to say, when you say understanding, it's just like it like triggers me when I think about when I used Blueprint. I wrote in the chat already. I used Blueprint from June to the test in November last year, and I feel like I literally learned absolutely nothing. I learned memorization. I didn't understand the questions. I didn't understand the logic. I didn't understand, the skills and how to attack. Like I didn't understand until I started using LSAT Demon in January. I knew about you guys before I used Blueprint, but someone used Blueprint, so they recommended I use Blueprint, and I used it. And if I had used Demon when I first found you guys, before I found Blueprint, I would be probably, applying to schools this year. So I just want to say thank you so much for everything. And understanding is huge, like huge. If you don't understand it, you're not going to be able to improve your score, and you're not going to, learn anything. So understanding is huge. And I learned that after I started using you guys in January. So thank you.
Thank you, Jungwei. That's nice. That's really nice to hear. Thank you very much. Darlena, and then Rachel. Can't hear Darlena.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Sorry, I don't know how I'm missing the mute, but okay. I just wanted to ask, you said the time period, I believe, or you can only take a certain amount of tests within a certain time period? I forgot what the term was that you just used, as far as how many tests you can take within a period.
That's an LSAC rule, and Abigail/Eric can probably get you the page on that, but it's
Oh.
3 times in one cycle, which starts in August and runs through July. So
Okay.
3 times in one of those cycles. And then if you ever cross the magical barrier in between July and August, which we're all about to cross together, y'all, it's coming
Mhm.
up in another month or two. When we cross that magical threshold, then it's a new cycle. Actually, I
And
guess
you
we already have crossed it because the August test is the first test in the new cycle.
and it
then you
runs
can
from
take it
August
5
to
times if
July.
you cross the cycle. Yeah.
Okay. And it runs
Thanks,
from
Carolina.
August to July, you said?
Yeah, there's a resource in the chat for you. Rachel and
Okay,
then
thank
Kimberly.
you.
Hi, Nathan. So I was wondering if you're planning to apply for the LSAT in one cycle and you're taking the August/September tests, but you're wanting to also apply in September, with the rolling admissions. I'm not clear on how law schools do it with the updated scores, how that works. If you've I don't know, put in an application early September, then you get in a higher score back or a different score back and you take it September and October, how that works.
It depends. I mean, if you want to follow my advice fully, you would just apply next September, not this September. Because that would give you multiple shots at it. You wouldn't have to be stressed about trying to make sure that you get your best score in August so that you can apply on September 1st. Instead, you just be like, oh, no, I'm taking August and that's a practice test for September, which is a practice test for October. And then I still have another couple bites at it next summer if I need to. And then I'm going to apply in September of 2023. That's our full advice. If you're not going to follow that full advice, then yeah, I mean, in some cases, like I got an email today from somebody who has a 172 on record, but thinks she can score 178. And she's going to go ahead and apply to some schools on September 1st, but also take the September LSAT and see if she can, knock it out of the park with a 178. And there it's like, yeah, you can update the schools if you kill it. They're not going to deny you with that 172. So go ahead and apply. And that can be a sensible, hybrid sort of a strategy, but that's not the strategy that most people should be thinking about. Most people should be thinking, I'm going to get my very best LSAT score on the books. It's going to be in the bank, then apply to law school. That's what most people should do. All right, Kimberly, last question.
Hi, Nathan. So I just have 2 quick questions. So how many scores is considered a good amount to get an accurate score variance?
It's just that, see, there is no such thing, Kimberly, because you're always going to be improving, I think. I mean, if you're studying the right way, I think you're always going to be improving your understanding of the test. If you're improving your understanding of the test, then your entire range should, even if it's slowly, like Brendan says, even if this range is only slowly, 1 or 2 points every 3 weeks, I think that the whole range is moving up slowly over time. So you're never going to really know. All you're ever going to know is one data point within the range. And from one data point within the range, we can't really infer the whole range, right? But, more data is better. So if you have 5 practice tests, great. If you have 10 practice tests, even better. I think the thing that I stumbled on earlier, would you be happy drawing randomly 1 out of your last 5 and putting that on your official record? Bearing in mind that the bad ones really don't count, only the good ones count, right? So are there enough good ones in your last 5 to justify drawing one of those random numbers? Now, if it's 4 bad ones and 1 good one, well, that's not a very good random draw. But if it's 3 good ones and 2 bad ones, I don't know. I mean, I get to draw 3 times out of that hat. Now it's starting to look like a much better wager. You could still get unlucky 3 times in a row. It'd be better if there were 4 good ones and 1 bad one, and eventually your whole range might get so high that you're like, oh yeah, any number in that range would be fantastic. And then you're ready.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. And then my other question was kind of So I've reached the point where I'm scoring 100% on games. And my weakest section is reading comp. Should I just kind of put games on the back burner? Like I'm kind of nervous I'm gonna like lose if I kind of like put it aside for too
Are you
long. My
perfect on the
accuracy
games?
on games. Yeah, I've been scoring 100%.
In 35 minutes, you're perfect, or time section, you're perfect on games?
For the questions I have time to answer.
Oh, no. I want you perfect on the entire section in 35 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I know that this is coming as a shock to some of you. On the LSAT logic games, you can and should score perfectly in 35 minutes. You're not getting your best LSAT if you can't score perfect on the games. You haven't done the work. If you did the work, you would reach perfection on the games. There are 400 games to practice. There are 100 tests, 100 practice sections. And eventually you'll get to perfection if you keep doing that work. And that's one huge way of differentiating yourself from all of the other competitors. Lots of people can't work that hard. Lawyers can work that hard. If you do the work, you will get to perfect. And if you get to perfect, you're going to be rewarded really nicely by the LSAT. So you're good, but not great at the games. So I would strive for perfection there. Like, I understand, yeah, that's your best section, but it's also a weakness because you're not yet perfect. That make sense?
Yeah, so that's like the only section that we should strive to finish.
Well, some people
I'm
eventually are
understanding.
perfect on logical reasoning as well. I mean, some people are naturally perfect on the reading comp, which is a blessing when they are. But, the goal should never be to try to finish the section. The goal should be one perfect game, then another perfect game, then another perfect game, then another perfect game, calmly. And you should be able to do that in time, or else I consider you unprepared for the test.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I have higher standards for you guys than you tend to have for yourselves. That's one of the things that you're getting when you get the LSAT demon, is you're getting somebody who believes that you can do much better than you think you can. And that's because I've seen so many other students do it over the years. I would just get greedy. I would not give up. All right. We're going to leave you in the hands of Eric. Eric is going to hang out and chat to you. Eric, feel free to unmute yourself and just talk at him if you want. But you can also continue a conversation with Eric in the chat. I'm going to leave to go teach my normal Thursday night class. So I will see you guys, some of you over there. Bye-bye.
How about now? Is that working? There we go. Sorry about that. Yeah, Lexi.
Hi. So I have been using the LSAT Demon and I listen to the podcast, so I'm working full time now, but I'm just an intern and they have nothing for me to do. So just all day and listening to the podcast. I've had that clicking moment with LR where I finally understood what they meant by okay, solve it and then be calm and then it's just easy. And then I've gotten to that point where it's it just makes sense and it's reflecting in my scores and I'm getting 100% accuracy, can do it timed. It's great. But I just haven't felt that moment with reading comp. And I was just expecting oh, once I get it for LR, which I feel I do now, it would just translate over for RC. I've been doing a lot more of like attacking the passage because that's what worked in LR, and like stopping before each sentence, making sure I understand it. But I'm still at a point where it's like when I do that method, I only get to 2 sections because of how long or how much time I'm putting up front. I guess, do you have any advice in how to get that to translate over to RC?
With this strategy of taking the time to really attack the passage and stopping and rereading sentences along the way, and maybe only getting to 2 of the passages, are you perfect on those 2 passages?
Yeah, usually. Or maybe
then I think you're on the right track. Then I don't really have any other tip or trick to give you other than it sounds like you're doing it the right way. And as you become better just through practice at understanding how those passages are put together and being able to engage with what you're reading on a sentence by sentence basis, I think, again, with focusing on understanding the speed of that will naturally come. I mean, one thing, I think you're right to sort of think of RC as just kind of longer LR, because it kind of is in a way. The thing that really helped me with RC was viewing each passage as the opportunity to learn something new. And hopefully you feel the same way. I know a lot of people hate RC and say things like, I don't give a shit about, dinosaur bones, or I don't give a shit about common law in England in the 18th century. Why would I ever be interested? It's like pulling teeth trying to read these really boring passages, which is a bad sign if you can't get through those 15 sentences on an RC passage for your prospects as a legal student. I think hopefully you do this to an extent already, but what helped me with RC was embracing a mindset of, I am legitimately interested in what I'm about to read. I didn't know that I was going to learn about this today, but what a treat that I get the chance to learn about something that is completely new to me. And I think that helped me, just trying to have that mindset shift. It's the same thing. I was teaching a logic games class last night, and it was the same thing where with a particularly tricky logic game or a question that substituted a rule that made things really complicated, I asked everybody, all right, who gets to a question like this and is excited? And everybody groans and says no. And I challenged everybody to say, look, if you want to get to a point where these games are so easy that they're kind of boring, so that when something comes along that looks different, you're actually excited about it, so that the hard shit actually excites you. I think the same thing could be true of the other sections as well. If there's one that feels particularly nasty, just take it oh, okay, cool. This is a chance to do something interesting, because all the other stuff was boringly easy. Anyways, long-winded way of saying nothing particularly different. Sounds like you're on the right track. Keep doing a great job and refusing to skip by something when you haven't understood it. That's going to be it.
And what was your reading comp progress like?
I mean, I was pretty lucky in that I was one of those people from the very beginning that was quite good at RC. I don't exactly remember what my section scores were when I first started, but yeah, I don't know. I am pretty lucky in that logic games was by far where I had the most ground to make up. So it did not take me all that long to get to perfect or close to it on RC. I don't know. I grew up with parents as teachers and reading all the time, so maybe that helps.
Gotcha. Yeah, I'll try to be less stressed but more excited when it comes to RC.
Yeah, for sure.
Thank
Luca.
you.
Yeah, thank you, Lexi. What's up, Luca?
Yeah, so I just started prepping for the LSAT and using the Demon in the last week or so, and I've just started with LR. And I was just curious if it's bad to just focus on LR until I'm good at it before moving on to like LG.
Yeah.
Something else.
No, you should be doing all of them constantly. You don't need to do everyone every day. And if you have a section that you are the weakest at, for many students, that tends to be logic games at the start. If there is a section that you're the weakest at, you can do more of that one. But no, we always recommend continuing to drill and do time sections in all the different sections as you go. Not necessarily all of them on the same day, but definitely all of them over the course of a week.
Okay, and then just as far as for LR, like a big part of the strategy, it seems like, is to like attack what it's saying and like make all these assumptions. But I feel like at times I can't, or not assumptions, but you know what I mean, like figure out what it's saying and what's wrong with it. But I feel like
you want to definitely notice any assumptions that the argument makes.
Right.
If there's an assumption and something that is not explicitly said that the argument relies on, those are the sorts of things you want to notice.
Right. So I feel like I'm just having a hard time kind of finding those. But then like after like I go to like the explanation, I'm like, oh, that's like kind of obvious, but I don't really see like how sometimes like you get to that, if that makes sense, like how you kind of see
it. I mean, what is do you feel like you are reading an LR passage, like those couple of sentences, and could you describe what your mindset is when you read one of those passages? Like, are you like looking to be convinced by them? Are you skeptical by what they're saying? Are you angry at them? Are you happy to be reading about what they're saying?
I mean, I usually just like approach it like with nothing, I guess. I just kind of read it as is, and I don't try to like, jump.
I would suggest adopting at least a skeptical attitude. Okay. Most of what you're going to read in the way of arguments on LR are going to be bullshit. Mm-hmm. So I would say be a little, like, just have a little bit of an edge to you when you dive in. I sometimes, and this is true in RC as well, can think of whoever has written the thing that I'm about to read as kind of a salesman in a certain way. Of course, not every passage is a complete argument and has reached a conclusion, but a lot of the times the LR prompt is essentially trying to sell you something, and their reasons for trying to sell you that thing are bullshit. So that's kind of the attitude to have on LR. Okay. Is I don't trust that you are making a valid point here, and I am going to be hyper vigilant of trying to figure out where is the gap in your reasoning. And if it turns out that there isn't one, then you will at least have discovered that. But yeah, you can engage with it more if you inherently are, if your bullshit detector is turned up to hypersensitive.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. Any other questions by those of y'all still around? feel free to drop it in chat as well. John, I think was it you, John, who asked a question earlier in chat? LG perfection is plain reps. Yeah, I think that is largely true. I drilled LG way more than any of the other sections when I was studying, because that's where it took the most work. And it's the one section that's most unlike other stuff that you've encountered in your life before. You know, for RC, you have read presumably articles online before about random shit. In LR, you have called your friends out on their bogus arguments before. Those have some sort of correlation to stuff that you've done in real life. Logic games are their own different world that are not like stuff you've done before the LSAT, for the most part. So it is to a large extent just taking the time and putting in the reps. I think I did every logic game there is before my final test attempt, which is like 400 or so of them. I'm pretty sure I drilled or PT'd like all of them. The one caveat to that is that you do want to see improvement. If you're just endlessly drilling, and it doesn't feel like you're actually progressing in the games, then it could be something about your approach to them which is holding you back. And likely it's a matter of, same as if with LR, same was with RC, rushing through the setup before getting and going to the questions before you've really grappled with the setup of the game. So yes, it is a matter of putting in the reps, but also you want to make sure that you're practicing good technique. And that's where, you know, some of the resources in the lessons, or if you're able to come to live classes, that's where you can get some help there. Cool. Well, if there's nothing else, then I will end this session. If you have any other questions, I encourage you to reach out. I think even with the free account, you should have access to, I think, the ask button on the questions that you have access to. If not, then help@lsatdemon.com can always write in and can get you hopefully get you answers there. Oh yeah, Luca, you had another question?
Yeah, just because since no one else
Sure.
does. Just going back to kind of LR, because that's what I'm focusing on. I feel like a lot of times when I get, like, I feel like I have a pretty decent hold on it so far, but I feel like a lot of times when I get questions wrong, it's not something that seems to be that like applicable to like either a question type or LR questions as a whole. It's like something very specific to that one question. So it's like very hard for me to like kind of like understand what I did wrong and how I can like learn from getting this question wrong to a different question, because it's so like unique to that question that I got wrong.
There are, I think I understand what you're saying. So you're worried that you're not taking lessons from the individual questions on LR because it feels very, very much like you just misunderstood that one argument, and you wish that there was more, like a broader lesson about the argument type.
Yeah,
or
I just
about
like,
the question type.
I guess the point of my question is kind of like, how can I learn more from questions I get wrong? Because like I'm saying, like sometimes
I
it doesn't
wouldn't
seem like.
I generally would not worry about that. I think your duty as an LSAT student is just to grapple with the one question that's in front of you at a time.
Okay.
You shouldn't move on from reviewing that question that you got wrong until you can honestly say that you know why the right answer is right, why the wrong answer is wrong, and hopefully have some understanding of why you made that mistake, why you made those two mistakes of not picking the correct one, but also picking an incorrect one. If you can answer all those questions and fully and honestly grapple with and come to an understanding of the one question that you're dealing with, then that is success. And I guarantee you, if you've done that, you have improved at the LSAT generally beyond that one question. There are some things related to question types and related to fundamental concepts. For instance, the flaw of confusing sufficient for necessary. There are some of those things that are general lessons that you should know because they come up from time to time or come up frequently on the LSAT. But in general, we place far more emphasis on one question at a time than trying to learn about patterns between question types. I think that's more likely to get you confused than just focusing one at a time. And I think the more you drill and the more you run into those types of the more you just encounter different questions, you're naturally going to get better, and you're just going to get better at reading arguments if you take the time to focus on one at a time. And that will apply across everything else you do, even if it doesn't feel like you're grasping larger concepts.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Yeah, sure thing. Cool. Natasha, did you have any question for me? No, you're good? All right. Cool. Well, thanks again. Pleasure to spend the afternoon with y'all. Hope you have a great 4th of July weekend and happy studies. Maybe I'll see you in class sometime. See you, everyone.